Welcome to Capgemini Event Talks. In today's digital climate, organizations are investing more and more in transforming their operating models. Their processes need to be transformed alike. So this is where business process management comes into the picture. But what is the real value for it? I'm here today with Shulimit Bot. She's a master black belt and has over 18 years experience within this domain. So, Shulimit, why is BPM important and what is the real value for organizations?
BPM is, if you like, the opposite of what strategy is. So you have strategy and then you have execution. And business process management is really about what you do and doing the right things. So by putting those in place, it's important that you understand what you're doing, how you're doing it, who is doing it, and that it's done well. For example, ensuring that your processes are under control, making sure that your processes are compliant, and things like that.
So if you're talking about processes in control, what do we actually mean with that?
So what we mean by that is to understand who's doing what and to ensure that the things that need to be done are done and executed properly as we expect them to be done, as is expected by the D&B.
Right. So on the one hand, we have the compliance factor from the D&B, the pressure of that. On the other hand, it's also about getting customers in line and getting real value for customers. How are processes linked to creating value for customers?
Well, it's really about what we do. So if you're looking at that, and I think also the challenge for many organizations is to design their processes with their customers in mind. So what is it that the customer wants? What adds value for the customer? And by designing your processes from outside in, you're able to bring in the customer experience. And I think it's a unique opportunity also to understand what drives the value, but also to understand what the moments of truth are for the customer. For example, in payments, for example, in acceptation, underwriting process, for example, things like that where you really have contact with the customer.
Right, so that is really the side that has the customer centricity in mind. We're also talking about data-driven organizations more and more. What's the link with processes and data?
Well, I think the data is really driving the decision-making. And I think also if you look at processes and data, data is really driving the performance of processes. So what you see is organizations that are very successful at this are able to make the link. If you're able to link what you're doing together with your decision-making and your strategy, you're able to draw the most out of the BPM. So to give an example, if you're looking at processes and you can link those to, for example, your NPS score or your customer easy score, you're able to determine what it is that's important for the clients and where you can improve. So by understanding how your processes are performing, you're able to improve on those processes. But also understanding how your processes are performing, for example, against benchmark, against your competitors. So how are we doing compared to the others? And if you're looking at the actual processes themselves, you're able to determine what is working for the customers, what is not. And it's not only for the customers and the performance of your processes, but by involving your employees in their processes, in what they're doing, you're also empowering them to make changes in their processes.
And then if we're talking about those changes, I mean, we hear a lot of trends coming up, like with RPA, with digitalization of processes, automation, even about machine learning and artificial intelligence. What trends do we see and how can we integrate them into those processes?
Yeah, that was a little bit what I was referring to when I was discussing the strategy. So it's important to have a North Star, whether that's the digitalization of your processes or whether that's creating artificial intelligence. But it really starts with understanding the basics. So understanding what you do and how you do it, standardizing that. And once you have that standard, you're able to take that to the next level to either improve the process through maybe very simple ways, such as lean, which typically take 3 months, and really look at where's the waste in the process, how can we make it more efficient, or much more ambitious to say this is a process which involves a lot of data and it would be better to automate it or to digitize it. And then, moving much further to offer that to the customers themselves in terms of self-service or perhaps if it's a process that's not part of your core strategy, to even have your process in control and be able to outsource that to another party.
Thank you for elaborating on that BPM is really the baseline of getting in control of the organization, but also to ensure continuous improvement. So thanks for elaborating on that. Thank you for watching Capgemini Event Talks, and I hope to see you next time.